Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 12. With me, as usual, are Peter Lant, sat to my left. Say hello, Peter.
Hello, Peter.
Okay. And directly beneath me is Mr. Paul Bassett. Say hello, Paul.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Exactly.
And just diagonally down to my left is Mr. James Breese, who I'll introduce in a minute. But for now, say hello, James.
Hello, James.
Okay, cool.
Doesn't get tired, does it?
Our very special guest today is Mr. James Breese from Strength Matters. Now, I've known James for a long time. I think the first time we met was when you hosted an HKC one-day kettlebell workshop, I think, back in about
2009-10, that must have been, with Peter Lakatosh.
Peter Lakatosh was there. Yeah, maybe 2009, 2010, something like that. And across over the years, our paths have crossed many, many times through courses that James has run, through summits that he's run, bringing lots of speakers over from all over the world in the world of health and fitness and strength. And we've also been snowboarding a number of times together as well. So I know James very well. He's a fantastic chap, and we will have lots to talk about today. Also, I'd say that James is probably fairly responsible for me meeting lots of the people who I am close with today, and opening lots of doors and introducing me to people such as, Dan John, Perry Nicholson, Mark Rifkin, the whole kind of kettlebell movement, Pavel, and then moving into everything that he does now, which is very different, which we will talk about in the podcast. So I think to begin with, what would be great for our listeners, James, is if you can just tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into this industry and this thing we're talking about today, and roughly, I know we're going to go into more detail, but kind of what you're up to at the moment.
Sure. Hey, guys. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it. I'm sorry for you guys. I know you guys are all in lockdown. We just come out of lockdown here in Wales. So it's been kind of exciting. I went to get a haircut before coming on today. That was like my most exciting thing for the last 2 weeks. So this is the second most exciting thing. So I do appreciate it.
We'll use that as our strapline. Podcast. Second only to haircuts.
Yeah. No, it's great. Honestly, thanks so much for coming on. Yeah, James, it's been a long time since we've known each other. I think one of the earliest things I remember too is like doing all the Krav Maga stuff with John Bullock and training at a place at Unique Results right back at the start when he had the one unit. We first had it and stuff. So it has been a long old time. So yeah. But guys, obviously, thanks for having me on. For those who don't know me, my name's James. I'm from Wales. My accent's a bit messed up these days. I'm from North Wales originally, and my first language is Welsh. My accent's just kind of gone over the last God knows how many years. But I've just recently moved back to Cardiff now, which has been kind of cool. It's been nice being back in the UK for a while, because I've been here, there, and everywhere living out of a suitcase. So for those who don't know me, I got into fitness through my time in the police. So I was, a constable in some regards of the Metropolitan Police for many, many years in London. And I fell into fitness. I got into it because I actually really badly hurt my back through various different things. We were contracted to train as part of the units we were on for an hour a day. And we were just bros, just lifting stuff. We were just heavy squats, heavy bench press, international bench press. So every day of the week was how we pretty much changed. And you can imagine the testosterone-fueled environment like that, a bunch of guys who just want to lift heavy stuff and G each other on. It wasn't conducive to performance. And we ended up having a really high sickness rate through injuries. So I ended up just getting into fitness and strength through that by convincing people to pay for my personal training courses. And I fell into it that way. So it's not the conventional way to get into fitness by any stretch of the imagination, but I fell into that way. And yeah, likewise, just over the years, you just looking at and finding ways to fix myself is essentially what I've been trying to do, and then pass on that information to other people to avoid the same mistakes that I made back in the day. I think that's kind of my goal. Somewhere in the middle, I kind of ended up helping more personal trainers and coaches which I don't know how it happened. I just fell into that path. But my passion's always been helping people. So like I've kind of gone from helping people, more working towards with coaches, and now definitely more to helping everyday people again, which is kind of my jam. I really enjoy that. And it means I can try more stuff for myself, have more time for myself to train and like learn more about health and fitness, because it's a never ending journey. Like you're always learning stuff every single day of the week, which is kind of cool. So in a nutshell, yeah, like that's kind of my journey into fitness. And like I said, my passions have always been sports, team sports, mountains, snowboarding's a huge one. It's huge. If anyone follows me on Instagram now, they'll see me playing my little jib board in the kitchen. Like that's what I'm doing most of the time. So yeah, no, it's just that's in a nutshell. That's kind of me and where I am and how it's going. Have I missed anything out there, or is it?
No, I was going to say, because I know that originally when I first kind of knew you, I'd say probably, like you say, probably close to 10 years ago now. You were very much in the kind of the strength world and the kind of the kettlebell world and the kind of the kind of strength side of things. And I know that in that kind of world it can become quite all consuming. Where almost being cardiovascularly fit or doing any kind of endurance work is almost frowned upon in some circles. And I know that now I'm holding up, for those who are watching it, a copy of James's book, personally signed, Maximum Aerobic Power. I know you've now got more involved in, just a more balanced view, I suppose, of health and fitness. So do you want to just kind of let us know maybe what was the catalyst for that change from a pure sort of strength focus into maybe something a little bit more well-rounded and more kind of
sure. So like it's quite easy actually. So like the kettlebell saved me. I think that's the best way to describe it. So when I had really bad back issues, like spasms, no disc hernias, nothing like that at all, but it was like I didn't really know what strength was, like other than my rugby and cricket days, just like and reading Arnie's encyclopedia. I didn't really know what strength training was. We don't have the same experiences in the UK as people in the States do. So like they grew up in the weight room. There's lots of weight rooms around high school, going through college. We don't have that here. It's not the same sort of culture. So I didn't really know what strength training was. And the kettlebell was what introduced me to it. It's like Tommy Blom, for those who don't know, like he showed me this kettlebell. He's like doing this 24 kilo, just juggling with it. I was like, what the hell is that? Kicked my ass. And I was like, right, I need to learn that stuff. And then because of that, I learned there was much more to it. So the kettlebell was what helped me rehab myself. It introduced me to the world of strength. Into the world of barbell stuff, and I'll always be really grateful for that. I was absolutely awesome. It changed the way I felt, the way I moved. It introduced me to a whole range of movement stuff and opened a whole new door there. But what happened though was, in some respects, it took me away from my passions and what I love doing. Like I've always been a more endurance type guy, believe it or not. For those of you who probably know me, like from lifting stuff and doing things. So I fell into the world of strength training, which was great. But I fell away from the stuff that really made me, which was snowboarding, running, hiking mountains, playing team sports, all these sorts of things. And what I found was, and this was when I was in Australia, actually, the further away I was from the world of strength, from America, from the UK, and hanging out with different people, like it was my ex at the time, Vicky, her and her sister said to me, hey, want to go for a run? Yeah, cool. Something I've always done, running, but I haven't done it for a long time. Yeah, cool. 2 minutes in, I was blowing out my ass. Like I was like, what's going on here? Like this ain't right. And that was the first step. It was like, it was quite embarrassing actually. It was like, I was a trained fitness professional. I could lift anything, but I couldn't run with them. And then a few weeks later, I was invited to go play cricket again. And cricket's been always my main sport. Like I've always been, played at a very high level. Luckily throughout my teenage, college kind of years. And then even going back to playing cricket now. So like I went to play cricket and it was the most unathletic I'd ever been. It was like I hadn't picked up a ball. And I couldn't bat. And I was in Australia, in a pond in Australia. They try to pepper you with fast bowling, and like I came out black and blue. I had like literally bruises down the whole of my side from batting and stuff. And I couldn't move my feet, so I'd become very unathletic. So that was the two catalysts to realize there's something not quite right with my training. Not that I'm discarding strength training at all, or the kettlebell or things like that. It's like, well, there's a big part of me here missing. So that's what started the journey of realizing, well, actually, there's a more balanced approach to fitness maybe that I need for my enjoyment, for the things I want to get out of. And that's kind of how it all changed and went about. So now, I look at things, We look at what we call the 4 pillars, like health, movement, strength, and cardio. All things need to be in balance. And a lot of people are strong in one area and not in the other. But my approach is, well, how do we get people balanced in all 4 areas? Because without health, you have nothing. You need to be strong. You need to move well, but you also need to have a strong heart. Because the stronger your heart is, the more fun you'll have in life, the quicker you'll recover, the more energy you'll have, even the more weight you will lift, because you're recovering faster in between sets. So that's kind of how I transitioned to more that healthy approach. And like I said about the summits and the people I met during that time, it was opening up ideas. I wanted to learn from new people. Like sometimes you can always go into the same minds of the same group of people, and not see the same viewpoint. I'm not saying you should learn from everybody, because some people are just mentalists. Right? You gotta be careful what information you pull in, but there's some really good people. And one of the people that really impressed me was a guy called James Fitzgerald. And knowing him, getting to know him, and he was the first ever CrossFit Games winner. I fell into the world of CrossFit, believe it or not, and not just CrossFit at a regional, local level. I mean, I'm talking looking at the highest levels of seeing what they do at the highest, at the top. And I start to realize, actually, there's a lot to this that everyday people can bring about to it. Not that they should be doing all the crazy stuff that you see online. Not saying that, but at the very, very high end of how they're training for the games, you can take that, what you learn from the original kettlebell movement stuff that we're all of us are very familiar with. There's now that you can put the two together, and there's a balance to be found, I think. And that's kind of where my philosophy is right now. Is like, yeah, okay, I'm more of a mountain athlete, snowboarding, want to be in there. That's my own personal training, but I'm taking bits of everything for a more balanced approach now to help everyday people just live their best lives. That's kind of how I want to talk about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I remember when I was out I think I went out to the States with you 2000 and I don't know, it might have been 2012 for like an MPE convention or something. And James Fitzgerald was there, wasn't he? Because he and I remember in the early days of CrossFit, they used to do, it was a much more, it didn't really resemble what they do now, did it? I mean, they had like things like 5K runs and kayak sort of competitions and lots of swimming and it wasn't as much lifting as it is now. There's a lot of cardio stuff.
I suppose they can do that all in an arena now, can't they? Whereas it's more difficult.
Yeah, they do. And the one thing I learned, so this is the thing that really changed my thought process. It's the ones that make the difference between the regionals and the high-end games. If we're talking for elite athletes now, it's their ability to recover the fastest. And I'm not just talking about like recovering just from like a 5K run, 10K run, or like a sprint session. It's their ability to recover from doing a 1-rep dead max deadlift to a back squat to doing a 5K run. And it's more about battery build. So thinking of the body as a battery, able to be replenished fast, like a recharge type system. That's what changed my thought process when it comes to everyday people, because if we can help them replenish their batteries faster, they're going to be able to work better, be more focused at work, all these sorts of things. And that's sort of things. It's not about them being at the highest level at the top, competing. It's more of a case of, well, how do I take the same philosophies to replenish the battery to help them recover faster for everyday life? So, because like, what would be kind of cool to go and do a workout and then recover and be able to go for a walk or something in the afternoon and not feel, like sluggish or whatever. Just little things like that. That's kind of like the thought process where I've been at and been focusing on for quite some time now.
It's funny because we've spoke about that in the past, and we've all come from it looks like we've all come through a similar path, through like doing a bit of strength and then kind of getting beyond that and then saying, right, how can you apply that to the everyday person? And the recharging your battery thing is huge, because people like to, well, I'm generalizing here, but a lot of people like to smash themselves and think, right, I haven't had a great workout until I'm like a sweaty mess at the end. Yeah. And then it's like, right, what do you do for the rest of the day? It's like, well, nothing, because I'm knackered. It's like,
well, it's another variable to manipulate, isn't it? It's a variable to manipulate. Recovery is a variable that people forget about. They think about the weight, they think about the volume, the duration, all those things, the reps, etc. But they don't think about, well, how's my recovery? Am I able to get up and do the same thing again, or am I able to go out and run with my kid and then come back, make the dinner, go and do something at work, blah blah blah. That is kind of life fitness. and it's also elite fitness as well. You know, I remember doing rugby and spending, you know, there were guys who run like a train, smash into someone, but then they were spent and they couldn't get over to the other side of the pitch where the ball was. You know, so there's lots of sports which require recovery just as a kind of way of achieving a high level of a success.
It is, and I get a lot of people ask me now, there various different things. They'll start conversations off. Okay, what's your 2K road time? What's your 5K road or 500 meter road time? I'm just using these as simple examples. And we'll have a conversation. They'll say, oh, I can do this in 500 meters. I'll say to them, no, great. If you rest the same amount of time it took you to do the first time, how fast do you do it the second time around? That is what I'm more interested in now at the moment, because the second time around, I'm seeing people doing 300% slower, you know, little things like that. Like what I want to be is almost identical. That is the ultimate kind of goal. And that's the thing that the thought process around me, because yeah, you're exactly right, guys. Like my thing is now about recovery. I'm more interested in how fast someone recovers from workouts to go about their everyday life and staying within their comfort, because comfort zones, you know, a good friend of ours, Paul McElroy, you know, said you stay within your comfort zone and you expand your comfort zone. Forget about your limits. Your limits will be overridden by everything else that you do. So just get away from the limits. Let's just expand the comfort zone, and it'll just give you a more fulfilling recovery rate, be stronger, fitter, healthier, happier, a better relationship with fitness too, as well, I think. Is a big thing, because like I said, I can't remember who said that about hit and like beat yourself up and stuff. It's like nutrition, having an unhealthy relationship with nutrition. It's an unhealthy relationship with fitness you have. If you're beating yourself to punish yourself, like where's the joy and fun? Like it's like a cocaine hit. It's like you know, heroin. You know, like getting another hit. You know, each
I wouldn't know. I've never done heroin, but you know, still time. I want to be like the granddad in Little Miss Sunshine. Like when you get old, right? I'm old. I can do whatever I like.
Like John Entwistle in the Who, didn't he die?
Yeah.
You know, he didn't do cocaine when he was in the Who, but he did it when he was in his 60s and died next to 2 prostitutes and having done a load of cocaine.
Yeah, give it 20 years.
I'm
not sure Sean will be very happy with that, but never mind.
But
no, James just reminded me of something there actually with, like, you know, saying somebody can do this thing and then it's like, right, well, can you do it again? And rather than asking someone, how much can you lift? How fast can you run? How fast can you row? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, how many times have you done it? How many times do you do it? And I was reminded of this, right? So I do lots of things with these things, right? Rubik cubes, right? I play with the Rubik cube all the time. I've got my time down really well. And there was some people on the train a couple of weeks ago. I was coming back from Cardiff. I've been on a course and I was just sitting twiddling away with my cube, and somebody said, they didn't say, how fast can you do that? They said, how many times have you done that? And that's a great question, because it's like, okay, you might have done it once. That's great. Yeah. But you know, was that a fluke? Is it an average or whatever? What's your average across the last year? And then if that has then improved, you're doing all right, aren't you?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
There's one way for someone to hate me really badly right now when it comes to cardio. I'll ask them to do a 500 meter road test, rest 1 minute, and do it again, and then they will literally probably hate me for it. But it'll
that's a fun dinner party.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and then, you know, like what you'll see is it'll give you a true reflection of how good you are recovering right now. And if you can't stay within 10%, then you have recovery issues. So
one thing this is interesting, because we think very much in terms of strength coaches. I mean, I came from a background of running before, but so we talked about comfort zone, and like you say, most people say, how fast can you run in X time? Or how far did you run, whatever it is. So what is your perspective on cardio and cardiovascular development? How did you approach with your own health the kind of expansion of that area of your fitness and health?
Very much staying within my comfort zone. Very much so. And
what was the measure of your comfort zone?
So I would use aerobic threshold. So like to get a real measure of your aerobic threshold, you need to go into a lab, and that's too complex. That no one can do that, right? The easiest and there's 3 easy ways. If you haven't got a heart rate monitor, can you talk while doing cardio? Like just a conversation like this, you know, when you're running, maybe not swimming, but like, you know, when you're rowing, you know, walking, can you have a general conversation? That's the first thing, if it's aerobic. Second thing is, can you breathe through your nose? Like are you able to maintain nasal breathing throughout your time? Again, a little trick you can use is put something in your mouth, like water, when you're running or on a rower, to make sure you maintain nasal breathing, to help you maintain it. Again, it's not perfect, but it's an okay way to do it. But the best and easiest way, if you've got a heart rate monitor, is 180 minus your age, like the math method, because it's very straightforward. 180 minus your age. Can you keep your heart rate below that threshold the entire time whilst doing it? And it comes from a volume first perspective. So again, a lot of people think they must go harder and faster to get better. But you want to go from a volume first into power, as opposed to fast into volume. And that's the biggest mistake I see. Like I always see it, like, again, it's actually quite fun being back in Cardiff now, running around. If anyone's seen me on Strava, I draw massive dick pics basically when I go for my run around the lake, right? Because it's literally ridiculous. My route from my house up around the lake and back just literally looks like a massive penis. So I do apologize for that, everybody. But
or a small penis if you're not feeling very fit that day.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Don't go as far.
So
it's descended already.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, it's happens to give me a Welshman on. Sorry. It's when I run around the park, the number of people who are blowing and like look miserable, like they're pushing so hard, red face, sweaty, going into that what we call power area first. Where no, take a step back. Let's look at things. We want to build from the volume first. Now that could be walking first, a lot of walking before you. I'm using running as an example now. I wasn't ready to run when I first started running again 4 or 5 years ago, so I have to do a lot of walking. Get proficient at walking, build that volume up, walk more, then slowly walk, run, and now build up to easy running. But I've made sure I've kept it super easy. I haven't done any HIIT workouts or high intensity volume building things. I've just made sure I'm building a base. And the reason my thought process is around that, I go back to the Kenyans and the Kenyan runners. Let's use Kipoji as an example. Broke 2 hours unofficially, right? Well, either way, pretty damn quick. Do you know what he did every day from a young age? He ran to school 10 kilometers one way, every day, every single day there and back. He's doing 20K a day there and back. Do you think he sprinted as fast as he could? Maybe some days if he was late, right? But how would he function if he get to school and he's all the hot sweaty? He would have just built up his volume. So when we're talking about aerobic development, you've got to take the long approach and realize that, okay, you're seeing the highlight reel of these most proficient athletes, like doing their sprint sessions and stuff like that, but you're not seeing the 30 years beforehand of development that they did to go into it. And so again, he ran 20Ks a day until he was about 17, 18 years old. And then he started doing even more work and fancy work towards his run. So I use that as an example to go, look, you want to go from an easy, slow perspective first, build up the volume, make it fun, make it enjoying, have a smile on your face. I'd rather you go for a walk for an hour than like blast for 20 minutes and sprint and leave you in a hot, sweaty mess, because it's going to make you hungrier. And if you're trying to lose weight, that ain't a good thing either. Your body may not be ready for it because you're not strong enough. And it's just using a biological approach and a sustainable, intelligent approach, as opposed to what the media are trying to push to you and go, hey, buy this stuff on this new high intensity workout stuff. The sad reality is cardio work is hard. It takes a lot of time. There's no shortcuts. Like everybody will try and get a shortcut. There are no shortcuts in cardio. And it comes down to volume. And I think there's a really good TED talk about what they discovered by working with some of the elite cardio guys, the highest end, like cross-country skiing and runners. 90 to 92%, I think it was that they'd spend below and sub-aerobic threshold, which is that 180 minus your age type of thing. So it just puts things in perspective. Like, I need to earn the right to do these hard things. You need to be strong enough. Can you move well? Can you balance on one leg? All these wonderful things. Again, another health marker we use is the waist to height ratio. So if your height is over half, if your waist is over half your height, you're at risk of higher metabolic diseases. The one thing that we now do, where people say to us, I want to run, I'm just using this as an example for cardio, is that we say to them, hey, maybe not yet, because every time you take a step, by running, it's 3.5 to 5 times your body weight going through your body. And if you're over half, your waist is over half your height, then we're going to have major issues, and it's potential risk of further injury. not many people want to hear that, but sometimes it's the right conversation to have and have a discussion about it. So anyway, that's something that we
80% of runners get injured, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a statistic, something like that, which is crazy, which you'd hope not if you were lifting a barbell. And we don't have that conversation about doing properly. We don't think about running as something that you learn. I mean, it's so good to hear you talk about the 180 formula, because for me, it's like my religion. I love Maffetone. I came through Maffetone because I came from an endurance background. I did it for a year purely with the heart rate monitor, 180 minus my age, plus minus 5 because I've been ill or whatever the calculation is. And I only could walk on a flat. I live in London and I was running along the Thames, which is basically about as flat as you can get. And I had to walk. And I would do that for an hour, 4 times a week. And I started off with 13.5-minute miles in my aerobic zone because I was pretty out of condition at the time. It was crazy. And I got myself down in my aerobic pace to 8-minute miles at the same heart rate. I think it's a phenomenal thing. But what I ended up walking into was that my volume increased and I wasn't strong enough. And that's when I started getting in touch with you, actually. I think you were one of the first people I phoned. I said, who teaches kettlebells in London? And you said, give Commando Tempo a call.
That's it,
yeah.
That's it. I forgot about that. Yeah, but it's true. But there's the thing is, I talk about running, and then for running is scary for a lot of people. I think it's important I say that as well. And that's the high end of things. Like I'm not saying everyone should go run. It's far from it. I enjoy it. Like I've taken a lot of time to balance towards it. But there's other ways to do cardio. And again, the other thing is to try and get people across is lifting weights isn't really cardio, but there's sneaky things you can do to combine the two. So those cardio haters, like don't do cardio, bro. Those sorts of people, we can sneak things in. And that's the way I've learned from CrossFit a little bit. It's like doing this mixed modal approach where you're tying something in. I'll give an example. Yesterday, back in the gym yesterday, I rode for 3 minutes split times at MAF at my 180 minus my age, which is 149 for me. And then I had 2 minutes. In that 2 minute period, I just did core work. So I was doing kind of a leg lift, left liftovers, Russian twists, and hollow body pullovers with 16 kilo, and get back on, and there was no rest. So it was a mixture of doing weight stuff with aerobic stuff to recover, and then vice versa. So that's a very simple version, but you can do it with anything: row, assault bike, whatever you want to for X number of minutes, X number of meters, swing some kettlebells, 10 swings, 5 squats, get back on, do it again. That's a capacity builder, work builder, engine builder at the same time. So
you're finding the right tool for the job, which is cardio for heart health, strength for muscles.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone, because our listeners, right, are going to be of a certain age, like, you've got the magazine, which is kind of 30 and over, isn't it? And then I train guys in their 40s. Paul's kind of similar age, 35, 45 sort of thing. And then James has obviously got older clients as well. And the thing is, so when you're saying to someone, you have to take it easy and you've got to spend time, like running to school for I know. You've got to put that 30 years in. When I started getting fit, I was 35, right? I haven't got that 30 years. However, what would you say to someone if they're kind of building up? Because the way I look at it is, right, what am I going to look like when I'm 70?
Yeah.
That's not what I don't care what I look like. Am I going to be able to still do the stuff I want to do when I'm 70? And that's the way I look at it.
No, 100%.
And that's someone who thinks it's going to take too long.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Already had that life.
And that's the thing. So all of us are a similar age here right now as well. And this is why we started working people only over 30, because we all have a similar mindset. We all want to start thinking for the long term. Like, I want to be snowboarding when I'm 100 years old. I want to be doing that sort of mindset. And when you hit your 30s, I think your 30s is one of your most important decades, because most people have got a job, a high they're working, they've got money. They've just had a family maybe, and they're time constrained. But the number of people we've interviewed and spoken to that come to us in their late 40s and they're going, I really wish I had a word of myself sooner in my 30s. And they're focusing towards the later part of life. So you're right. Like I would say to them, look, we can do the quick stuff, right? But it's the short-term view. However, what about thinking about when you're 70, when you're 80, when your grandkids, can you keep up with your grandkids? focusing on the basics. So yeah, so like it's, you know, the basics we call is WWS, walk, water, sleep. Like if you're not walking at least 7,000 steps a day, if you're not drinking 7 glasses of water, and if you're not sleeping 7 hours a night, you're going to struggle no matter what you do. And that is the most important thing you can do for your health. Like again, you know, when people ask you, what do you do? Like, oh, like what's the tip? How can you help me? If you're talking to someone who's never met you before and they want to talk about fitness, I go, well, the best I can give you is like walk 7,000 steps, drink 7 glasses of water, and you know, make sure you sleep 7 hours a night. Because we all know if you don't sleep being the most important thing. Because if we don't sleep 7 hours a night, we know people will consume 800 more calories from processed food no matter what they do, right? Because that's what the study says. We know that risk of heart disease, all these other things as well. So we just can't do anything. It's just we're fighting with our hands tied behind our backs.
There's that great quote by Matthew, is it Matthew Walker, who wrote Why We Sleep?
That's it, yeah.
He said the number of people who can survive on 6 hours sleep or less a night without impairment, that number expressed as a percentage of the whole global population is 0. And I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
And people are like, no, I can do like that. It's like, no, you can't.
It is
what you've ended up is your normal life is impairment rather than.
Well, and that's the thing, that his book is the Bible. I reckon for anybody in fitness or whatever sort of you want to read it, it's quite scary. It's quite interesting. Some of the, you know, if you're quite sadistic, the torture stuff is interesting. Like to see how sleep deprivation, you know, impairs you and stuff. But like I said, if you're sleeping, if you're sleeping less than 7 hours a night, and you do so over for more than 7 days, essentially you are just as impaired as someone who's over the drink drive limit.
Yes.
But the dangerous thing is, though, is most people don't know that they're sleep deprived. Most people who are sleep deprived don't know that they're sleep deprived, and that's the issue. And it's not basics. You don't have to worry about what fancy exercise you're doing. You don't need to worry about here. If you can do those 3, and then there's a 4th one we don't really tell people straight away because I think we're just batshit crazy. Is that breathing? Like if we can sort out your breathing, if you're more tolerant to carbon dioxide and can like your body tolerates carbon dioxide better, then we're onto health, because you need water and you need oxygen to be able to lose fat. So those are the 3 plus 1. So please don't think I'm too crazy yet on the breathing. People are listening, but we don't tell people that straight away. We have to ease them into it because they just look at us going, "What?"
How do you? I've been using a pulse oximeter.
Oh, nice.
For my stuff, where is it?
Oh, cool.
That was like 20 quid, that. Yeah. Nothing.
How do you sell moderation then, James?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's
it all makes sense, James. This is all common sense.
It's all common sense, but here's what I've learned more and more and more. There's only 2 things that sell in the world of fitness. That's fat loss and hypertrophy. Right? That's fat loss and hypertrophy. No matter, I don't care. People don't care. You should see it. Like one of my, the last 12 months, I have somebody who works with us who's awesome, and she's gone. We have our walking test. We have a walking test, so it's our first cardio test. We make everybody do, because walking relates to mortality later in life. The slower you walk, the higher your risk of mortality. Right? You can Google search that and see all the studies that show that. So we want to keep people walking as fast as they can for as long as they can. So we have a benchmark test. Can you walk 1.5 miles in 20 minutes? And this lady came to us and she could walk 0.7 miles. That was her first benchmark, right? Over the course of a year, she got to 1.5 miles, right? Freaking awesome. Like it was the highest thing ever. No one cares about that. Like other than me and the people like who get it. And she loved it. It's like, yeah, I can walk fast. Yeah, look at this. That's great. We put like a Facebook post out in our group and stuff. 3 likes, crickets, absolute crickets. But you show somebody who's lost 10 pounds in 30 days, like suddenly, like it's like, whoa, oh my God, that's amazing, that's life changing. Or they've gone to like here, because that's what people want in the industry. That's what sells. Sex sells, fat loss sells, hypertrophy sells. So what we're realizing more and more is that we got to talk about the fat loss journeys, and then we have earned the right to talk to them about their health and the long-term basics. And that's why we do the magazine. That's why we're doing the podcast and stuff, is we educate to the long-term, but the short-term thing to get them in to trust us is seeing these transformations a little bit. but focusing on a health comes first perspective. Because again, this is what we're working at the moment, is we're realizing not everyone is ready to diet straight away. In fact, the more I realize it, like 95% plus, I'd say, is a good guesstimate, are not ready to diet. Their metabolisms, their body is just a mess. And they're just setting themselves up for failure long term. They'll have the yo-yo effect of dieting long term. So it's better off spending time repairing it, and then you'll watch the weight fall off, and then, you know, do it that way, because it's always staying off then. Because again, here's the thing in weight loss: the losing weight's not usually the issue, it's keeping it off. No one has an exit strategy. Everyone has like well, I'm going to do this diet. I don't care what diet it is, keto, paleo, low carb, high carb, whatever it is. They'll always do that diet, but they don't think about the exit strategy. And, you know, every time you diet, it gets harder to lose weight. But every time you finish the diet, you put on weight faster than the first time you put on weight after. So that's what the yo-yo effect is. Like, it's always putting on weight faster. So don't worry about the diet. Worry what your exit strategy is going to be to get you back out. And that's what we're kind of working on at the moment. So what is it? What's the entry strategy? What's the exit strategy? The diets take care of themselves. There's calories in, calories out in whatever format. But what's the entry? What's the entry? What's the exit strategy? And that's what we're trying to figure out to help people with, to have a more long-term mindful approach to things.
Do you know anything about, I've seen this somewhere and I don't know a lot about it, but the homeostasis of the body. So if you've got someone who's 150 kilos and they're like, right, I'm going to lose 50 kilos, get down to 100 on a crash diet, which is not like Tracy spoke about this, and there's not necessarily anything wrong with that, because some people can do that totally successfully, and that's fine. But then you stop at the end, your body just kind of like starts to edge back to where it was, because that was where it was comfortable. That's where it knows. So you need to sustain that level for a period of time for your hormones and everything to regulate themselves, to say, this is where I am comfortable.
Yep, 100%.
I've weighed the same weight for like the last 5 years, and it doesn't seem to matter how much I eat or how much I don't eat or whatever, or drink or whatever. It just stays like that because it's happy there.
Yeah, that's honestly, that is a thing. It's a genuine thing. So like it's called the body set point. So the body set point and that balance and homeostasis, it gets used to it. So if you stayed for 10 years at a certain weight, like your body's used to it. It goes, hey, mofo, I want to get back to that set point as fast as I possibly can. This is why, there's two extremes. Let's use the bodybuilder extreme. I'm not saying to do bodybuilding diets or anything at all. And what I'm saying is this is what happens. A bodybuilder will get down to 2 to 3% body fat if they're male. And they'll go out for their meal out after they've competed that night. And they can put on between 7 and 10 kilos in one night, because the body is wants to hang on to that for dear life, to get the weight back on, to get back to its homeostasis, its set point. Okay, that's what happens. Now let's take somebody who's a yo-yo dieter. I'll use my sister as an example for this, because I'm helping her at the moment, trying to repair her metabolism, because she's been yo-yo dieting for many, many years. She did really well, lost a lot of weight, and then she went out and had a pizza for one night. She put on 3 kilos in that one night from that one pizza, and it took her another 10 days for it to come off after everything that's going on. So her body wants to get it back up as fast as it can to that set point to find the balance. Now, I can't tell you the science and stuff behind it, but I just know it is a thing, it exists. So the point is, it's helping people understand this is, look, you've got to retrain your body to find its new homeostasis balance. Same with me at the moment. Like I've been on a diet for the last 3 months, testing some stuff out. Because again, of all the travel I've done over the years, I've never really focused on it. I've never really thought about nutrition. I've never thought about it at all. But in July this year, we're talking about things going, heck, we need to fix this. We need to work out what is our system of fat loss. So right, it's going to start with me. So I jumped on the scales, did the old calipers measured. I came out with 23% body fat. And I was like, oh crap, I thought it was way lower than that. Typical response. Most people think they're lower than what they genuinely are. I was like, oh crap, I need to sort this out. That ain't healthy. That's way out of our standards. We need to fix it. And since July, I'm now down to 13.5%, testing things out. But I had to spend 6 weeks repairing my own metabolism to find out where I'm at, because I was that same problem. I ate pizza. If I ate a bit of extra food, I put on weight quickly, because my body has been used to being 80 kilos for such a long time Like I'm talking 8 years now. Whereas I pulled up all the data from my Withings Body Plus scale. Like when I first had the first original one, 2008, my body weight was 68 kilos. That's when I was in the police and I was at my fittest and training and stuff. And then suddenly I ballooned up to 80 kilos in 2012, 2013. And that's where I've stayed up until this year. Like I weighed with Josh, who works with me today this morning, I'm down to 72.9. And it's maintaining that and getting my body used to this. But that's the difference. It's like, oh my God, I still want to go up. My body's craving me to go up there as fast as it can, but I'm having to retrain it at this level. So I'm trying to teach myself to eat more calories and not put on weight. So it's controlled gluttony is what I'm going through at the moment. Is the best way to put it, to help refix and restore balance in my body where it should be, its healthiest. So I'm going off topic a little bit there, but that's kind of where my head is at, and like that's what we're trying to do. And like this, look. Yeah, diets are great, but then I don't think they're right for 95% of the population. I think understanding where their entry point is and discovering an exit strategy first and having that conversation with people to know this is what we need to do. And also talking about the long-term effect. Like, it's not a 30-day, you're not going to lose 30 pounds in 30 days. If so, you're going to put it all back on and faster. Like in 15 days after that. It's about, well, look, it's going to take maybe 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, okay? And be happier, be healthy, and have a better relationship with your fitness and with the food to go with it as well. And then everyone's a winner.
I think you can't avoid the fact that you have to own up to your current habits, because it doesn't matter what your current weight loss strategy is that if you come out at the end of it and you haven't worked on that glaring set of behaviors that have never served you in the past, you'll just revert to them as well, and your body will be very comfortable to follow that path, because it will be a groove that's been nicely set, both metabolically and habitually.
Yeah, absolutely. And like this is the thing. So like I'm talking about diet and nutrition now with you guys, but like we have a set of rules when we're working with people now, is that when they come in, we do the assessments. If they are not doing WWS or if not walking 7,000 steps, if they're not sleeping 7 hours, not drinking 7 glasses of water, we don't have the nutrition conversation, because we're setting people up to fail before they can't handle. The secret of any sport, anything, like, what you see is that they have the basics nailed down. We did some in-house analysis on some of the data, and we try to find ways to compare the higher performing athletes and just the everyday Joes, and how can we find that everyone has to do? And it came down to walk, water, sleep. This is how it all started, right? And we saw that the higher end guys, they have the WWS nailed down. They're already sleeping 7+ hours, drinking 7 glasses of water, walking 7,000 steps. The people who are struggling, they're walking on average 3,000 to 4,000 steps, drinking 1 glass of water and not lots of coffee, and sleeping less than 6 hours. So they're on everyone on the same playing field. We can agree on this. Nutrition is very polarized, but I think we can all agree that we need to sleep, we need to walk, and we need to drink water. And that's a level playing field. And if people can't do that, we're going nowhere near nutrition with them.
I think you need to be careful with that, though, because you're telling everyone to do WWS, and you want to make sure you say it like nice and slowly, otherwise they'll all take up wrestling, won't they?
You got Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior style.
If you had a massive Welsh accent, you're going to go do WWS. What? What? I've got a leotard.
Okay, so James, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. I think, again, like I seem to say to the people we speak to every week, we'll have to get you back on again and delve into some of the stuff we've kind of touched on in a little bit more detail. But I think it's been really refreshing and really interesting to hear a different perspective on fitness and training than we maybe have before. So it's really great. If people wanted to find out more about you, which I'm sure they will, James, and obviously, like I've mentioned a couple of times, the magazine Fit Over 30, the book Maximum Aerobic Power. But if people want to find out more about you and what you do, how can they get hold of you or follow you or just get more information?
Cool. Yeah. If guys want to just see what I'm up to and like see what I'm looking at the moment, just follow me on Instagram at James Breese. James then Breese, BREESE, Breeze with an S. That's probably the easiest. At Strength Matters on Instagram. You can follow us around on there. It's nice, easy. And just the website, strengthmatters.com. If people are interested in the magazine, well, I'll send them a free copy. Just cover the shipping costs. There's a link on the website there. You can do it. And yeah, like I said, I'm more than happy to share and help people. Like I said, we're all in the same boat. We're all trying to help each other. And if I can learn from my mistakes and share them with other people, that's kind of my goal. So thanks for having me on, everyone. I really appreciate it. I wasn't expecting I talking about nutrition and stuff. It's always funny when you come onto these things. You're different down little offshoots here and there. You have no idea. So I really appreciate it.
No, it's good. That's what I said. We try and keep it fairly loose and relaxed so that it can go in any direction it does. And it was really interesting today. And hopefully I'll get to do some snowboarding again with you this winter.
Absolutely. Well, literally, I said to you before, like it's everything going well. Ishkal opens 17th of December, so I can't wait. So that's my training. I'm all training gearing up towards that at the moment. So I'm pretty excited.
Cool.
Yeah, you're all right for that. We don't know what's going to be going on by the 17th of December here.
Oh God, I'm hoping I can get to leave the country. That's all I can. That's all. If I can't get a flight, I'm getting in the car and driving. That's the only thing I'm doing. So.
Cool. Does anyone have any more questions for James or any comments before we wrap up this episode?
Well, it turns out I'm already selling weight loss. I'm selling hypertrophy, but I'm missing sex. So I don't know how to incorporate that into my marketing. So any ideas? I think that's why I'm not making as many sales at the moment.
My first ever client outside of the police was a guy called Don Kelly. I doubt very much if you're listening to this now, but anyway, I'll tell you the story anyway. He was the senior vice president for Hilton Hotels, and it was a referral. Like one of the physios I knew in the area, he goes, "Hey James, I got this guy called Don who needs help with his weight loss." Cool, went to meet him. He worked from home. And yeah, he happened to be the senior VP for Hilton. He was like, "Oh, this is kind of cool." I did it. In the consultation, he said to me, "James, I actually need to. There's a couple of things I need to do. He said, I need to lose weight because I don't want to be a fat dad, and I need to get laid." That was his story to me. I went, "Well, I can help you with the fat loss thing. I'm not quite sure I can help you with the second part. We'll see what happens." Anyway, this was in November. Literally, at the start of November. God knows, back in 2011, 12, when I'd left the police, and he'd lost about 12 pounds in the first month, just training, doing his thing, every few days. Went to the office Christmas party. He got laid. He became my biggest fan ever, and referred me the whole rest of the Hilton board, and that's how kind of my business started. So that's a bit of luck. That's all I can say. That's a little bit of luck and like a little bit of bad luck.
Just help you with your marketing there. Hounds of Health, join us and get laid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Done. Or rather, no, because that's like that. You probably get done for trading standards or something. Increase your chances of getting.
Yeah.
I'll see how I can fit it into the Facebook ad.
I'm sure you can.
I'm sure they won't dismiss the ad.
No,
okay.
Let anything go through.
On that bombshell. Okay, right. Say goodbye, Mr. Peter Lant.
Goodbye.
Say goodbye, Mr. Paul Bassett.
Goodbye.
And say goodbye, Mr. James Breese.
Later, guys.
Take care, guys. See you soon. Well done.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favourite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.